body is woven together. It's a kind of fascial skin. It's this web of interconnectedness that covers our entire being. And when there's trauma, when there's disconnect, when there's emotional holding patterns that we're not expressing, what happens is that fascia becomes contracted and tight and stuck and literally gets knotted together. So in looking at our embodiment and our expression, it's really, really important to be able to basically it's almost like we're pulling on this blanket that is ourselves, because again, it's woven together. There's one part of the body that is probably the most crucial, I think, to really opening up the fullest expression of the body, and that is actually the mouth. The front of your skull, right, all of this whole area is a microcosm for your pelvis. So when we're locking this in, we're also subtly locking our pelvis in. We're subtly locking our sexual energy in. And notice when we hold back our lips, right? When we're in shame, when we're afraid of what we're going to say, what the other person's going to think, when we're holding in anger, when we're holding in resentment, just observing those moments when the lips are contracting. Have you ever had that experience of, you're so great in front of the camera, but have you ever had that experience when you're smiling for the camera and all of a sudden that smile turns into...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, all the time.
And you're like, damn, why didn't they take it like a half second earlier, right? When there was an actual smile on my face, right?
Yeah.
Really annoying.
Oh, man, I know.
It's really annoying. So
I'm just even getting like aware of myself on the camera, and then all of a sudden, whatever it was turns into like.
That's cute.
I'm like, I know I didn't feel like that a minute ago. Yeah, definitely.
The exercise and practice that I want to do with you is really kind of addressing that issue, and that issue has to do with basically in that moment. What's happening is when you're really smiling on the skull here, these bones called your zygomatic arch or your cheekbones are expanding out. They're expanding out, and you can see, I'm going to bring it in a little closer, all the bones that connect kind of through this little bone here. And not to mention that, even it's not touching the other bones, it's still relating to everything else in the face. And that's why when you have a gorgeous smile, when you're really authentically in that expression of joy or despair, because the same thing will happen also when we cry, when we reveal our vulnerability, right? You and I had an experience of that earlier, where we were just really dropping into that vulnerable expression, and then the next moment, what happened?
Right.
We were laughing.
Yeah. Wow, that's a beautiful point, because it really is. It's like the same energy. It just it's the same energy.
Okay. So when we're looking at taking a photo, and when we get stuck in that pattern of contraction and it turns into this false smile that is not attractive, basically what's happening is that these bones, the zygomatic arch, it's getting stuck in, like it's getting squeezed here, and then also up into this frontal bone. Okay, but that's also a mirror of what trauma patterns are like too. So when you have someone that's in trauma, that's what we do. So to a certain degree, these kinds of patterns are also naturally, encoded within us to kind of be self-protection. And the lips are actually, again, very key to releasing these tension patterns, because they're the end of that fascial skin suit. So the body's woven with this human fascia that's webbed together, almost like a blanketed structure, and the very end of that blanket are our lips. So with this practice, I'm going to show you, we're going to work on stretching the lips out, like really stretching them as far out as they can possibly go. And then we're going to also, it's almost like we're tugging on a towel. We're going to widen the blanket of our lips open. And we're going to also work on opening up these cheekbones. So I'm going to blow out through my lips. I'm going to drop my head, right? So we're letting these bones stretch down and forward. Mm-hmm. And then what we're going to do is right at the very end there. Right at the very end, we're going to stretch the cheekbones out to the side. And we're going to lift the head up. It's going to look like this. I'm going to do it for you. Kind of add a little bit of an opening at the end there. So I'm dropping my head. And I like to think of it as a kind of widen. So we're literally, so it looks a bit like a fake smile. I'm literally focusing on taking the bones. I'm not trying to smile here. I'm just looking at it just completely from the architecture and the angles of energy within the bones. You want to try it? And then what I'll do is I'll give you some pointers. Okay. Good. All the way out, and then widen. Good. That was actually very good for your first time. Could you feel that stretch?
Yeah, definitely. Especially like around here and in my head over here. It was coming out. I'm like, I was making a funny face.
So let's try it 2 more times, and let me see you just kind of go into it even more. So as you're pulling the lips down, be also conscious now of this bone. You're actually sending this bone down. You're leveraging it down, so that'll release pressure here. Let's try that as a focus now. So you're going to, and then widen at the very end. There you go. Good. That was much better. Good. Did you feel that go deeper?
Yeah. Definitely more pull. And when I had my head down, I felt the drop down in my head. And in front here, I wasn't really tuned into the head the first time.
So let's do one more time with one more focus to see if we can take it a little bit deeper. So we're blowing out. We're widening. Now, as we lift up, I want you to be really conscious of the palate, the structure within your mouth, this kind of dome-like shape that's within your mouth. So as we're widening, I want you to bring your attention into really opening up that space. So think of it like a ceiling. It's actually the proscenium stage of our voice. It's a rounded structure that houses this resonance energy, right? So you're widening up that stage, widening it out. Okay? And try again. Good. All the way out, and then widening. That's it! There's the smile! Ah, ah.
It feels great. It feels really funny too. It feels funny to do it, and then you feel the level of embodiment. I was like,
So this is an exercise you can do anywhere, anywhere you want. But it's great to do just in the middle of your day. You've got energy that you want to release, and you want to reconnect with that. What you really tuned into was the palate is really, really important. It's very much the center of our embodiment, like the balance of our embodied expression. So when we're in trauma, that palate structure lifts up and contracts in, and throws us up into our brain, essentially, into into stress, and to being overly saturated with too much information running through the system. So I wanted to share this exercise with you, and also with others outside of this, in relationship to the class that I have coming up. That's really all about tapping in to the haptic technology of the body, and that really has to do with connecting into the neural conductivity of energy that's running through the body. And so as we create space for it, as we liberate it fully into the ends, and that's what the lips are. They're the end of a piece of that neural conductivity that's running through the body, but they're very, very important end expressions.